Hey, what's up, everybody? James Mace here. Um, this is gonna be a little bit different today. November 20th, has always been a hard day for me. This marks 26 years since I lost my dad. I lost my dad at 11 years old, so it was tough growing up without that blood father. I had a stepfather later, but it was hard to grow up without that father that you knew, and then taking on a different dad. So today I did something called Let's Talk Fatherhood. And in the Bible, it tells us of earthly fathers. In Ephesians 6:4, it says, "And you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in training and admonition of the Lord." And admonition in the Hebrew language is yasar, which means to instruct or to discipline. And then again in Colossians 3:21, it says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged." Um, what that's meaning is like avoid being overbearing on your children. Not so harsh in discipline. Not saying don't discipline them, because there are times where you have to, whoop your kid or whatever, but you don't do it in anger. That the word provoke in that, it's meaning do not explode on your kids. Like, don't project anger onto them. Do not make them feel less than or anything like that. So as I was reading this, I was like, man, my dad used to just unload on it. One of his sayings was, "I'm gonna come unglued on you," and I remember that so vividly. Even my own mother, though, too. I'm gonna come unglued on you. That stemmed from a place of anger. That stemmed from their own place of trauma. So how do you honor something? Because one of the commandments is honor thy mother and thy father. How do you honor somebody that's projected that onto you your whole life and made you feel less than and made you feel like you weren't worthy? So Jesus models how we deal with imperfect parents and how we gain new family. So in Matthew 12:46-50, it says, "While he was still talking to the multitudes, behold, his mother and brothers stood outside seeking to speak with him." They're talking about speaking with Jesus. "And then one said to him, 'Look, your mother and your brothers are standing outside seeking to speak with you.' But Jesus answered and said to the one who told him, 'Who is my mother and who are my brothers?' And he stretched out his hand towards his disciples and said, 'Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother.'" I'm not saying blood family doesn't matter, because they do. But if blood family doesn't understand boundaries, if blood family does not understand that you are important, that you matter, then there has to be a severed tie. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to do the will of the Father, the will of heaven, which is to go and make disciples, teaching them to obey everything that He has commanded us to be. And one of those things is to be healthy. And you can't be healthy if you have bad family. I'm not saying don't be a part of their lives, because you can. But if it's bringing you down, I would say establish that boundary. And you don't have to hate them. You honor them by serving God. So that's what I do. I honor my father, who was an aggressive, abusive, drunkard, addict, all of those things, and he projected all of that onto his kids. But I respect him because he taught me everything not to be to mine. And then the Father in heaven taught me how exactly to be to them. And I'm not a perfect father, but I strive to be. I strive to create an environment that is gentle, that is understanding, that is slow to anger. There are times that I get angry with my kids, especially when, they hit each other or, call each other names. I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 you ain't doing that." But once again, I react from a place of my trauma. And I went to a healthiness and holiness class that our church put on. And the lady, Tammy Dickerson, when she was talking, she said something that really resonated with me. She was like, "You respond in trauma at the age you were hurt in that trauma." And I was just like, yo, I do that. Like, that's me, And so in hearing those things and truly seeking to grow and understand myself as a person, because we should all still be seeking to understand ourselves and how we can get better and how we can grow. I look at this and I go, yeah, I'm going to get better by doing the will of the Father in heaven, to honor thy mother and thy earthly father here on earth. And I hope that this helps the next. That if you're struggling, do the will of the Father, and that's honoring the mother and the father here on earth. So, God bless. Love you guys.